Okay, everybody, it's Big Daddy, and you know what time it is. It's Big Daddy and Friends, and as always, I'm always going to bring on a guest that I know well, that has been successful, and is successful, and we have history. So I'm introducing everyone here that's watching and listening to my man Billy Jaffe. How you doing, Billy?
Muy bien. We could do this in Spanish, although it'd be better if I had probably had some more cervezas in me. I'm always better that way. But big boy, or as I like to call you, grandissimo, I'm good, my friend. And, in this crazy, messed up, insane world, I'm trying to keep as sane as possible right now. I hope you are too.
Yeah, I'm doing the best I can. And it's funny, as you call me grandissimo, I will say, Guillermo, todo está bien, and one of my
Excelente.
one of my past interviews, which I learned a little bit about, Bill Guerin. Do you know that he is Hispanic? He has Spanish in his heritage.
I did not know that.
I did not either.
Yeah.
And his daughter speaks fluent Spanish. So there's one for you that you might have to, put that in reserve and maybe use down the line. But we had a interesting chat, and
He's
you can go, on Big Daddy and he's the man. I love him, and you can go on Big Daddy and Friends and watch that interview because you'll be blown away like I was. But so anyway, I always get into explaining to all the guests that are watching and listening how you and I met, and there's so many stories there because it's funny how your agent, who's a very close friend of mine, and I call him my agent too. So Maury Goffstrand. Maury said to me, "Hey, my client is moving to Long Island, and he is going to work for the Islanders, and he's their TV guy, blah, 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 blah." Okay, I meet you, and we basically start dating because, you were you were here by yourself. You were here by yourself, and, and it was great because, we hung out. I got to learn a little bit more about you, learn the game, meet people, and so on and so on. And then, it was funny. I was telling the story about
the story.
What's that? I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
The best part of the story. I was saying the best part of the story is yes, we met because of Maury, right? But as soon as what was the name of that place we went to eat where they had, we went out and we had seafood. I was on the island. It was on that little side island, and then they had that cheesecake, that great cheesecake that I pretty much wanted to slather myself in.
Oh, no, that was, remember, we went to Lobster Box in City Island. So you remember, we had lunch before with Umberto. So when we went to City Island, you and I remember we're both looking at each other like, how are we going to eat all this? When this guy brought out this mountain, Peter Karikas brought out this mountain of food, and we're both looking at each other like, I mean, how? But, I never forget that story because that was like a day that we both, I think, inhaled about 25 pounds worth of food in 2 sit-downs. So,
right. Miss it.
Those stories are, priceless, and they can always be told over and over and over again because they were a lot of fun, a lot of meaning behind it. And I could say this honestly and truthfully that, hey, you're my boy. I miss you, and I wish you were here. And but soon enough, hopefully when this world gets back to some sort of normalcy, or I don't know what the correct vocabulary is to use anymore because so many people keep saying this and that and all this other stuff. But, it's funny because one of the stories that I always tell, and it's come up which was cool, was I went to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, and you were there working the game, and I said to you, Billy, you don't have to wait till tomorrow to fly home because you're flying home with me private. And remember, we flew home after the game,
right?
And Victoria, I believe, was pregnant, and you were able to eliminate about 8 hours off your time. We ended up getting home at like 2, 3 in the morning, but it was better than you having to sit around and wait till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning to fly home the next day.
Yeah.
And that's
Detroit, Pittsburgh, I believe, right?
Yeah. I remember it was Pittsburgh, and and that was great because I had my friend Joe Pezza and his son. That remember the son's a huge hockey fan, played hockey, and every time that someone was in the finals, they wanted to go, so we would go, and it just happened that he owned his own jet. Boom. Come on, Billy, get on board. We're flying to Long Island. My car.
Yeah, you're right. I got my bag, and all right, let's get going. The playoff runs are awesome, but man, they're long. I would be on the road for more or less for 6 weeks at that time. The Islanders weren't good then, like they are now. So I think in the one time, that's right, 1 out of the 4 years I was doing their games, they made the playoffs. Otherwise, I was on the road day one of the playoffs covering it for Versus. Remember the old Versus station then? And so, and then I would work for NHL Network and NHL Radio. And that's what I was doing when you guys were at the game. I was doing ringside for NHL Radio. So it was fun. That was great. That's right. We flew home and got home, and it was nice. Instead of having to go, look, everybody will take a charter over the commercial having to deal with the airport.
Of course. Believe me, my job was just get the tickets. His job was get us home safely, get us there and get us home safely. And we were home instead of waiting for the next day. So it was one of those perfect arrangements that benefited both of us. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about your history. It's funny, you went to Michigan. That's a very strong hockey program. Obviously, I've known a few guys to come out of there on both the hockey side and the football side and the media side. So, it's tell me, when you were growing up, what was it about hockey that made you go that direction?
Well, it was an experience that I'll tell you this. My dad was a player, but he wasn't a player, right? Okay, like he loved the game, but he was a fun player. It was an experience that I'm told, or the story goes, I'm told that I would take my milk crate at the time we sold milk crates, and I would take it and put it in front of the TV, and I was mesmerized by hockey from about the age of 2 years old on. Something about the activity, the action, whatever it was. And fast forward to I was about 3.5 or 4 years old. I'd skated a little bit, and at 4, my dad puts me on the ice, Big Daddy, and with hockey equipment, and I cried my eyes out because my ankles were, bending in like this and everything, and it was hurting, and I was falling. I sucked, right? And I wanted to come off, and I tried to get off, and skate stumbled to the door, and I kind of remember this, but my mom tells all the time. I'm like, I want to get off, and my dad grabbed me and turned me around and said, no son of mine will quit the first time. And so pushed me back out on the ice. I'm guessing I stopped ball. And next thing you know, it took about 2 years. And then all of a sudden there was this blossoming almost where it just clicked. And I just love it. I do. There's nothing, I still look at 51 years old, buddy. I can go out and play, and that's the beauty of hockey compared to a lot of other sports. You can still go out and play. I can just go skate. Put my equipment on and skate and whatever, and the exercise is phenomenal, but the mental clarity is the best thing. And so, ever since that young age until now, when I'm on the ice and I've got an hour to 2 hours, whether it's a practice, a game, or whatever, Richie, there's nothing else at that time that bothers me. And so that's how I know that I love it.
Got it. And you know, the beauty of it is when you say, look how many guys that we know that play, you know, they're in their 50s, you know, Boomer Esiason, Sean Hannity. I mean, people would not realize that these guys still lace them up, get out there, and they, you know, they reap the benefit of, one, the exercise, and two, the competitiveness. And, you know, hockey's a great game. I mean, I grew up around it. I always loved it. A lot of people don't realize this, that when I first got into the insurance business, my main clients were hockey players because I was living at Pittsburgh at the time, and I was surrounded by the best team back then, you know, with the Lemieux and Stevens and Jagers and all that. And when people finally realized that I wasn't Mario or Jagers or Kevin Stevens' security guy, they, oh, you're in the insurance business? And then, you know, Brian Smolinski came on board, and it just, there was a trickle effect. And it was funny because, wow, how is this football guy tied into all these hockey guys? Timing and, you know, my charming personality, you know? So, shy, as I would say, shy and misunderstood personality that I have, you know?
Yes, very shy, very unassuming. Yes, yes. And what's great about hockey guys, I don't know, maybe you can answer this better than I mean, my statement is this: hockey guys are the most loyal of any of the pro athletes. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to keep somebody as a client, and it doesn't mean there aren't issues here. I get all that. But hockey guys, it takes a lot to get their trust. But once you do, hockey guys are tight, man, because we aren't as big, literally, I'm talking, you know, like as the other sports. I mean, it's great. Hockey in Pittsburgh, they're beyond, like the football team. They're icons there, right? They're just amazing. I mean, but it's not, but if you get in with hockey guys, they're usually more loyal than any other pro sport guys out there.
I could definitely validate that comment because, you know, there's guys that I still have, and you being one of them. You know, it's, I always say, you know, people ask me how I diversify and get into different areas, and even doing something like this show. I think it's because I do what I say. And when I can't do something, I'll be the first one to say I can't do it, but I'll find someone that can, or find that answer, whatever, you know, use all your resources. I know it's like with business, you can collect 1,000 business cards, but how do you commercialize your Rolodex? You know, how do you use those business cards to, you know, work side by side and hand in hand to make things work? You know, I'll tell you, one of the greatest things that I always say in relation to hockey, you know, is being able to drink out of the Stanley Cup, but also be able to do it. I've been fortunate to do this twice in Alaska, you know, obviously due to my relationship with Scott Gomez. You know, I tell people that I've been to Alaska 7 times, and it's one of the hidden gems in this world that people, you know, when you say Alaska, they're like, what? I'm like, trust me, it's one of my favorite places, and I need to get back there because there's peace, serenity, beauty, even when there's snow on the ground. You know, that's what I feel about Alaska.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm a fly fisherman. And I got into it because of my dad. And our first place that we went fly fishing was at Bristol Bay Bristol Bay Lodge in Alaska. And when I was in college, he wanted to try it, and I did, and we really enjoyed it. And I've been back there numerous times to fish, but I've also been there numerous times to play hockey. And it's great. It's different, but I mean, you know, there's all these Alaska shows on right now, and I sometimes lay there and I'm watching it, and Vic's just, my wife, you know, Victoria, the Queen, and she's just like, I'm not doing that. So get it out of your head. I'm like, oh, we could go do that maybe, you know. She's like, yeah, you know, find your next wife to go do that. But I mean, I love it. I don't think I would actually survive in that regard. But it is a great place. It's unique, and it's just awe-inspiring. You're right.
Yeah, it's fun. I learned a little bit of history when I was there, and obviously, when you go with Scott and his family, you're like, wow, there's a lot of Mexican people live up there, and what a lot of people don't realize was that, and I learned this by going to a museum there, that there was a big quake up there in '65, and they needed to rebuild Anchorage, and a lot of people did not want to go to Alaska to work. So what did they went down to Southern California, and they recruited everyone that was willing to come up there and get a job, housing, and they were all of Mexican descent. And Scott's father, along with I believe 8 to 9 brothers he had, they all went up there because there was work, and they rebuilt the city, and then obviously Scott's a mainstay up there. He's still up there, and he's walking around with him up there was like walking around, I guess, like North Carolina with Michael Jordan. It was that he stood out. Everyone knew who he was, and the guy was rookie of the year 1 year, and then he comes back 3 years later with another cup. So I can never be more grateful to him and his family for hosting me up there and having me up there on even when the cup wasn't there. I learned how to net, jump in the water with waders and all of a sudden grab all the salmon that you could catch and take it out of the water and then clean it. And then, I got smart. After the first year when I learned that you could bring fish home, I left my clothes up there. I don't even know if they're still there. My luggage coming back, we went to Costco and I bought 2 of those big white coolers so that I could bring back salmon, crab leg, and reindeer for me and my buddies. So I took full advantage of that because the food, I had never had salmon until I went to Alaska. Think about it. I went to Anchorage when I was
that's the best, especially if you get a king salmon or a silver up there. Oh man, how fresh it is. Like, you want to talk about, like, you and I used to go devour sushi all the time. Like, they'd have to go get a delivery just after we were there. But, and that was good. Don't get me wrong. But you and I could, if you imagine having a fresh piece of salmon right in front of us, right out of the water there. Oh, phenomenal.
I'll never forget it. Scott's father made it with eggs one morning. And I was like, man, this is like, you feel like you've been missing life, because this is, I guess you can relate to someone that lives in Arkansas and you bring them to New York and the first 2 meals are a bagel and a slice of pizza. Imagine they're like, wow, I didn't know this even
exactly.
So, but anyway,
you take them to Rayo's and you get the meatballs at Rayo's or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, so one of the things that we do on the show is I ask my guests to now turn over and ask me a question. So the mic is yours.
I have a question. It's fun, and we spent so many meals together during that year that we dated when we were first year. If you had to have, I never asked you this, and we've shared so many. If you had to have one meal to get, like what if you're absent from start to finish, what would it incorporate? What would it involve?
Well, the old Big Daddy. See, now, what I didn't share with you is I've been on this health kick. So I've been working out every morning, and I'm down almost 70 pounds since March. Awesome. So I've eliminated a lot of the things that you and I probably would have eaten like we were going to the chair. So I don't have those, I don't have those things anymore. And I think COVID was great for me because all the Chinese buffets and sushi places shut down. There's like there is one in New Hyde Park, and it's called Nova, but it is a buffet and all you can eat, but it's made fresh to serve. You know, you and I would have went, and we would have had the menu, and we would have been like, just get us one of each, and they make it fresh and bring it out. Whereas the old way, we would go and point whatever. But I would say, if I had a meal that, like you just asked me, Brian and Cooper, I would sit there and I would have that Cajun ribeye steak, and it would have to be like a 42. It would have to be like a 42 ounce, because the bone on that ribeye weighs probably a couple pounds or whatever, and it takes up a lot. So that's why it has to be 42. So it's a big cut with some cream spinach and some, mayonnaise, fries, or potatoes, something along those lines. That would be, my mouth is watering just thinking about that, because I'm not eating that. And I promise you, if you get down here, we will have to go and obviously share a meal again. And here's the funny thing, Billy. When I go out, especially with anybody, I always say, I joke around and I say, hey, Billy, let's share that meal. And of course you would probably laugh at me and I would laugh at you because I'm only kidding. But that's the mentality I've taken. Whereas if I cut my portions down, at least I get a taste, and I'm not rolling out of the place. And the new habit that I've also developed is also not eating after 8 p.m., which has been very key. Very key. So, I just gave Brian and Cooper's a plug. I haven't been there in months, but I just know that steak, Rothman's another place.
It's good. Oh, yeah, those are two good places. Then, boy, Brian and Cooper was really good. I like Rothman's too, but I went to Brian and Cooper more when I was living on the island. But,
closer to us, and it was closer to us, and we always ran into our buddy Mike Milbury in there. I went there like 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, dude, stop following me, man. But and that's an off air conversation. Yes. What were you gonna say? I interrupted you.
I need an Umberto's grandma pie. I haven't had a good New York, like Boston's okay for pizza where I live. It's not great. There's one or two that are good, but I'm Chicagoan. I love my deep dish. I understand some people don't like it, but that's fine. But I'm an equal opportunity eater. So I really loved my time on the island with the thin crust, and especially Umberto's, and then the grandma pie there too. So that if that would ever find its way to Boston, I will eat the whole thing on my own. I will not share with anybody. Well, maybe I'll give Vic some, but I love it. So I miss that. I miss our time sitting together too, big boy, at the table.
Yeah, I do too, man. I always drive past that one restaurant over there on Hillside Avenue in Williston Park, that had the TVs and everything, and we would meet after the game. I can't remember the name of it, but
Memories.
Yes, that's it. That's right. And all those things are. I'm in line to have one of these New York sports writers. They want to write my autobiography. They want to write a book on me, and those are the stories that I will tell in my book. Those things that I've been so fortunate and blessed to, listen, one of the stories that intrigues a lot of people and people still shrug their head or shake their head is when I had my aneurysm, I went to dinner with these 4 big names, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I had just gotten a brand new car and I called you and said, hey, Billy, can you come pick it up because it's sitting in the hospital? And you're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's in the parking lot at North Shore LIJ. It must have had about 200 miles on it. And as a good friend that you are, you came and got it, and whatever. Because I was not going to be able to drive for a while, but at least knock on wood, we'll be able to wake up, walk out, and off I went. So those are stories that I'll never forget.
Yeah, I remember that well that you bring that up. You remember that scene from Ferris Bueller where they drive, his buddy's car. Oh God, I can't remember his name. Forrest's best buddy.
The
guy who wears the Red Wing shirt to the city, and they go to park it in the garage, and they're like, guys, and he's like, be gentle with it. And then the guy takes it and he rides like up the city of Chicago. He goes crazy, like, I was going to do that to your car, but because you're in the hospital, I didn't want to do that to you right there. That was a scary moment, man. Those couple of weeks were brutal. That wasn't fun.
No, I know, but you know what? Thank God, I'm healthy. I'm good, and with friends like you and all the support staff that I had around me, and all the friends, and I couldn't ask for anything. I'm lucky and blessed at the same time. So, again. Billy Jaffe, everyone, make sure you check him out. You want to learn hockey. You want to know the game. You want to know, I always tell people that when you have someone that's played the game, that's been inside the game, those are the best people to learn the game from, whether it's stats, whether it's instructions, whether it's, anything interview-wise, look, a lot of people probably don't know this, but I'll share this because I know this. You were a coach on the team that went over and played in the Israeli games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We had that big dinner over at Alberto's with the team and everybody, and things like that. Those are incredible accomplishments, and I always commend you for that. And you're a superstar in the world of hockey, and I know you're humble, and you'll probably laugh at me for me saying that. But look, I give credit where it's due because I know success. I hang around it quite a bit, and I'm fortunate to have friends like you and others that are in the same stream. So my hat's off to you, and I want to say thank you for being on here. And I'm always like a kid. I'm giddy because I'm interviewing you. You're the guy that's been doing this forever. I'm interviewing you. So I thank you, and I'm honored, too, at the same time.
Well, thanks for everything, buddy. And you're Mr. Multi-Platform now. You're going to the, you dabbled in when I was on the island a little bit. You started wading in. Now you're doing the big dive in head first, like the triple Lindy, like Rodney Dangerfield did. You've gone into the dark side of the deep end of the pool of broadcasting. Always great to see you. Obviously, we all know that it's not enough, that we don't get to see each other enough, any of us anymore. But I appreciate you having me on. Keep kicking ass with this, man. Having fun. And we'll keep working it, best we can.
Exactly. So tell Victoria, obviously, that I send my best and love. And as always, which are between us, what my favorite story is. So related to her. So
that'll come out in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to say doctor. Yeah, exactly. But I love you too, bro, and stay safe. And to everyone out there, Big Daddy and friends, we're bringing you the stories behind the stories with the biggest names in sports and entertainment. So until next time, we'll see everybody real soon, and God bless. Be safe.